This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Your planet is now marked for death.
Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four: First Steps is now streaming on Disney+.
We will protect you.
As a family.
Light him up, Johnny!
Marvel's first family is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is fantastic.
And critics say it's one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Oh!
Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four: First Steps, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
What time is it, Ben? It's clobber time!
Welcome to The Give, the official podcast of the Lawrence First and Goal Foundation and part of the Coaching Coordinator Network. Lawrence First and Goal has always been about coaches helping coaches, and this episode is another example of that mission in action. Today, you're going to hear a segment from Coach Travis James, offensive coordinator at Bucknell, on how motion and misdirection can create explosives in the run game. In this part of his presentation, Coach James shows how shifts, jet motion, and backfield action can force hesitation, change fit angles, and create space before the ball is even snapped. Here's Coach James.
This is really an awesome opportunity. We are deep in our transition here to Central Pennsylvania, but when Keith reached out to contribute to this clinic, it was really a no-brainer to contribute to an unbelievable cause and obviously to continue to hopefully advance the game of football. And so really our topic today as we dive forward is modern misdirection. And we've evolved every year and we continue to evolve every year offensively, but there are some major pieces in this presentation to really hopefully give you an edge as you continue to develop and find edges in your own game plan. And I'm going to do a little bit of philosophy just so you understand exactly who we are and how we look. But I think when you turn the tape on, you can see that these things are applicable to really any offensive system. But then I really want to spend time. This is a fairly large bucket for us in the run game and in the passing game, but I really want to spend time on 3 primary areas. One is a logistic approach, trying to create explosives for yourself in the run and the pass game with the utilization of motions and ball handling. Number 2 is in the screen game, a way that we can create new line of scrimmage in new lines of scrimmage in different places. And then finally, we're going to spend some time on true misdirection runs. And so, but without further ado, let's kind of get going. So from an identity perspective, I do think it's important to understand how we look at the game. And we are a complete multiple pro-style offense that uses spread concepts while showcasing the skill sets of our best players. But we are a little bit of a throwback. We believe in the timeless tenets of championship football, of being a physical rushing attack, of protecting the quarterback, of finding different ways to get our best players based on personnel or based on tag or based on play, the opportunity to affect the game. But that next layer of uses spread concepts, like we really do believe that we still need to evolve as the game moves along. And so if it has the opportunity to help us and help the evolution of the offense, we're going to use it. But that clinical definition really gets applied in the following ways. Number 1, you're going to see us utilize the fullness of our pre-snap process to affect the defense. And base definition, we want to make it as hard as possible for people just to line up. But then there are a variety of schematic plays that go into this, and I'll preview a few of those for you really as we go through our presentation today, because it goes into this misdirection talk. Number 2 is we want to establishing a punishing and a diverse run game. We really believe that if we're going to be an effective rushing team, we not only have to have variety, but we also have to be able to dictate the terms to the defense of how we're going to build walls and set edges. And that manifests itself in a gap scheme identity, which we'll spend a little bit of time on defining as well. But then finally, we want to have a passing game that is executed in both an efficient way and both an explosive way, right? We were blessed this past year to empower Nick Semptenfelter to break the all divisions record for completion percentage. Really unbelievable by Nick. But when we start to compile and build the passing game, there are three primary sub buckets within it. Number one, we want to throw the ball short to players who can score. That really is where the efficiency pops up. We want to be a great RPO team. It's not what we major in, but we throw them into premier looks because we have to. Number two, we want to be a great intermediate passing team, and that goes back to being complete. We have to have the tool set to let the quarterbacks and our skill operate for us in situational football. And then finally, we really want to be an elite screen team. We, as I mentioned earlier, want to be able to change the line of scrimmage for a defense, and we look at the screens as an opportunity to do that on the perimeter. Next is insight into the explosiveness of the offense, and we won't deal as much in this today, even though you'll see a variety of explosives, but we want to make people paranoid with how aggressively we push the ball down the football field. We want to do a tremendous job in play action and a tremendous job of getting people open, and we take a tremendous amount of pride in that. But then what ties all of these things together is no matter what the passing concept is, we are going to prioritize protections over passes. We take a tremendous amount of pride in keeping the quarterback upright, and we don't limit ourselves in the protections that we carry or in the real conversations of how we're going to get that done, okay? But then as we take that system design forward, I also want to just pause and admit, like everybody else, there's challenges for all of us as we design offensive systems. And I'm not going to read this line by line, but I will hint on the buckets. We all have players that we have in our offenses that we want to be better, right? And we all have questions of depth in every program. As good as we've been, or as bad as we've been, we're never as deep as we want. Not just with the physical capacity, but also with the ability to have competitive endurance for the games that we know we're really going to need to win. And if our identity is rooted in a certain personnel, do we have the capacity to continue developing those guys, right? So it comes down to players. That's one primary challenge. The next is, what's the expertise of the staff? What do we have the ability to teach? What do we have the time to teach? How much can we rep and really what we call stress test these schemes to be able not only to empower our own understanding, but also to make sure that the players can play and produce in as effective of a way as possible? And I know I'm bleeding into that time with the players. But then finally, it's not just all of these internal constraints, players that we have, time with the coaches and ability of the coaches. We also got to be hypersensitive of the defenses and the personnels and the structures that we're going to have to beat.
If you're enjoying this segment from Coach James, you can get his full presentation inside the LFG Clinic All Access Pass. That gives you access to more than 100 presentations from the 2026 clinic, plus 500 more from the previous 5 years inside Lauren's library. You can save even more with a staff pass if you want your coaches learning together. That comes out to just $39 per coach. Best of all, LFG Clinic is more than a content library. It's a community of coaches with curated learning tracks inside our head coach, coordinator, and position coach schools, plus additional live sessions coming soon. Go to LFG Clinic to learn more. Now back to Coach James.
So the way that I manifest this for our staff all the time is this balance, and we are in a balance all the time. At the top of this scale is the reality that we don't want to have structures that are so rigid or so narrow that creativity is hindered as we design our offenses, right? But the scales that balance all this time and investment are two realities that are kind of conflicting when you say them out loud. One, the more we know about less, the better we'll be. So what I'm trying to get across to us all is how often we can create similar actions, similar rules, same as principles across multiple layers of the offense, runs, screens, formations, then we're going to allow our guys to go play really fast and then turn really physical. But then the other reality, especially in the games that we've been blessed to coach in over the past several years, the more things that we do well on offense, the harder we are to defend. And if you're going to win top 10 games, and if you're going to be a contender to win a national championship, or you're going to be a contender just to be in contention in every game in the Patriot League, you better have enough offensive variety to keep people on their toes. And so I lead with those things to come to this conclusion. What we have found is that the utilization of shifts, motions, and action variety consistently evens the playing field. So we've addressed some of those personnel concerns because as we get people to be in the wrong spot or we get people to play slower, we're giving our personnel an advantage, right? It also consistently creates advantages, right? That may be an advantage in leverage. That may be an advantage in numbers. That may be a manipulation that completely removes people from the fit. And you're going to see those things here in a moment. And then one of the underspoken benefits of this style is it consistently opens the door for explosive plays throughout the entirety of the offense, okay? And so as we drive forward, not only are we going to lean on that style of misdirection and shifting and motioning, but we really use and we believe in gap scheme as a whole to kind of be a scaffold for all these things, right? And like I said, it starts at the top. Number one, the ability just to hand these plays off, and we'll watch a little bit of that. These plays are dynamic, and they're dynamic because they're a domino effect scheme. Trap pulls affect wrap pulls, affect ball carriers, which can allow the ball to puncture in a variety of places. But also for us, we know that they're also tremendously formationally diverse. We can be good in running to the tight end, running to the open side, using the fullness of our formation menu and also our personnel menu. We can be tremendously adaptable while having a really dynamic run scheme. In terms of the advantages that they carry, we know the common sense pieces that affect all of us all the time, right? Our play side blockers are going to have great angles. We're building teams and we're building these schemes around double teams, which are going to allow us to prioritize the front one level at a time. The other common sense piece, as you see there in point number 2, is we get to play +1 football at the point of attack. And we do have a mentality within the offensive system that all pullers, if you're a puller in the offense, that you are a fixer and you have a responsibility to fix the play side once you get to the point of attack. But then over time, I believe that we've done as good of a job as anybody of marrying our ball carriers to the rhythm of our pullers. And what we talk to the guys about is trusting and feeding the rhythm of every play, because if you do, it'll create a very dynamic rushing attack. But all of this also kind of boils down to the reality that if we are a great gap scheme rushing team, right, we are building our identity on the core tenet of great rushing teams. We're building our identity around runs that separate the defense. We also then buy ourselves the ability to influence and misdirect the defense. Because as we all know, if you're going to stop these gap and puller plays, you have to have total alignment in a defense from top to bottom, technically and schematically, to stop these plays. How you decide to defeat double teams, how you attack trap pullers, line of scrimmage pullers, how you attack wrap pullers, guys that are pulling for linebackers or guys that are attacking the edge. Are you playing over the top with pullers? Who is your force player going to be? Are you going to box things in? Are you going to spill people? So it has a tremendous alignment that is required to be successful defensively, we believe that that creates strong tendencies and clear indicators for when we have to then pivot into our counter punches as we move forward. So, coming away from all this philosophy, let's just start diving right into it. These three major categories. As I told you, we're going to hit this first one, base ball handling and the incorporation of motion within this family of misdirection. Number two, we're going to jump into the screen game. And then number three, we're going to jump into some of the true misdirection runs as we've built things over time. So let's just start here. So here is a really common way that we will use motion to our advantage and obviously misdirection. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that from the jump, you're going to see that our tight ends are really integral pieces to the offense. They're going to shift and they're going to move consistently because we want to create as stressful of an environment to identify where the near back triangle is, the presence of the tight end and the running back as possible. But then you also get a tremendous introduction here of the utilization of jet motion. We, in these pictures, this is one of the fundamental tenets of the rushing attack. We do believe in utilizing jet motion to create nub surfaces. And one of our best equalizers in these nub surfaces that we've created is the ability to bring two pullers from the opposite side of the formation. We believe in base offense, this is obviously 21 personnel, that we're going to be able to create walls and set edges on the opposite side of the formation and allow the back to puncture because there's a hesitation and a rotation in the secondary that doesn't let people screw themselves down and into the box, okay? So there's one presentation out of more 21 personnel.
That was Travis James, offensive coordinator at Bucknell, with a segment from his presentation at the Lawrence First and Goal Clinic. If you want the full session, along with more than 100 presentations from the 2026 clinic and 500 more from the previous 5 years inside Lawrence Library, get the LFG Clinic All Access Pass at lfgclinic.com. You can also save with a staff pass and get your whole staff connected to the platform. Lawrence First and Goal Clinic gives you more than on-demand video. You get coaching community, curated learning tracks, and more live learning opportunities throughout the year. Thanks for listening to The Give, the official podcast of the Lawrence First and Goal Foundation and part of the Coaching Coordinator Network. Follow us on X at LFG Clinic and at Coach K. Grabowski.